Hungry dogs run fast.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome into my dog's favorite podcast, the Dynasty Dogs. We are back live together. We had a little bit of a technical difficulties. Rich and I kept playing with the graphics. We couldn't really figure it out. Thank you to SC Romero for saving the day. Back with me in the doghouse is the man who single-handedly kept his local Dunkin' Donuts in service, Richard McAteer. How are you, Rich?
Good one. I'm doing well.
You remember we used to walk from your house to the Dunkin' Donuts up by the bridge?
Dude, and they closed that. They turned it into a Baptist church.
I know that's what
I'm like, damn. I'm like, I moved away, and that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say it was doing so well until you moved away. But yes, tonight, Rich and I are back. We are going to be talking about the AFC West. We're going to be breaking down that division. We are also going to be giving out our dog tags and dog house. If you've been following us for a little while, that is our segment when we break down the divisions. I take two teams, Rich takes two teams. The dog tag are players we are in on from that team, whether it be ADP, trade value, a vibe that we get, their usage. It could be anything. That's a player we are in on. Dog house is, we're putting them outside, putting them out in the doghouse, play in the heat, 1,000 degrees outside. A player that we are out on, whether it be, again, their trade value, ADP, could be a bunch of different reasons. We don't see a real bright future ahead of them in regards to Dynasty Fantasy Football. But let's get right into that now. Rich, let's talk about this division, because this division has picked up a little bit of steam with, Jim Harbaugh coming in last year. The Kansas City Chiefs are repeat Super Bowl contenders every single year. The Raiders brought in Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly, and then the Denver Broncos, again, the second year of Bo Nix and Sean Payton. The AFC West is looking stronger than it has in a long time. What do you think of this division overall?
So, I think it got a little bit stronger with the Raiders getting Geno Smith. I think kind of the way we're breaking down the teams, you got the top two teams and I got the bottom two teams still. But I think
no.
I got
the Chiefs and I got the Raiders. I would call the Raiders a middling team.
You think so? Well, I mean, the way I have my records broken down, I don't know how you have the Raiders record, but I think the Raiders definitely got better.
For sure.
I think they may be
when you say the records broke down, what do you have?
So I have. Do you want me to tell you the wins and losses?
You have them for all the teams?
I know I have. Well, I did just the Broncos. I assumed you did the other ones because you said you were doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I just did over unders.
Yeah, the Broncos record. I wrote out their schedule. I got them at 8-9.
Okay.
And then I got the Chargers at 9-8. So I think the Raiders may be a little bit better than that.
You think the Broncos? Do you say the Broncos 8-9?
Yeah.
Didn't they win more than that last year?
Dude, I don't know. Last year's a different year, man. I got the games written down, and I'm like, what? Who are they going to beat?
Dude, went through each game by game.
Yeah. So they got Titans, Colts, Chargers, Bengals, Eagles, Jets to start off the season. So, I mean, Titans W, Colts W, Chargers L, Bengals L, Eagles L. Jets W, Giants W, Cowboys L. Texans W with a push. I don't know. That could go either way. I got one Raiders win. They're going to lose to the Chiefs. I think they lose to the Commanders. They're going to lose to the Raiders. The Raiders. Packers L, Jaguars W, another Chiefs L, Chargers W. So
you have them losing two more games this year than they did. So they went 10-7 last year. Let's go right into the Denver Broncos then, since we kind of started.
Yeah, I think they might have a harder schedule this year than they did last year. I know they got slightly better, but they've got, like I said, they got week 3, 4, 5, Chargers, Bengals, Eagles, which isn't going to be easy. I didn't go as far as home games and not. I think these two teams are the teams that kind of split in their division each games, kind of like the way the Eagles do with the Cowboys. But I think the first couple weeks is kind of going to be hard for them. And then you have the Packers, who I think they're going to lose to. I think the Packers have a slight edge. But yeah, 8-9.
Wow, I'm kind of surprised. I am actually surprised because I've been looking and thinking that Denver is kind of on the upswing as a football team right now. So to have them losing 2 more games as they've kind of, losing steps this offseason.
Well, then what games would you change then? If you want to, Titans W, Colts W, Chargers week 3, L, Bengals.
I don't know. That's tough. You said that was going to split, right? So that could be the.
I know. I got the Texans. I got them beating the Texans, but I think it could go either way. Like at first, I had them losing that game, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, maybe they pull it out. But I don't think there's any real. You think they could sweep the Raiders?
I think they could. That's going to be tough. It's really hard to sweep your division, right? Especially when it's kind of a team on the upswing like the Raiders. I could see maybe losing 1 game from what they did last year, where they go 9-8, right? Kind of a little bit of a flip-flop from what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the list of games that you mentioned. I think – see, the thing is like, are the Bengals going to be able to stop the Broncos offense, right? Because they have no defensive line. They've got a rookie that they drafted in the first round that's going to be probably sitting out the whole year unless they figure something else out, So I think that Broncos team could win that football game.
But
against
I see where you're coming from with that, but I feel
where
like
is that game, by the way?
I don't know. I don't have. No, I just wrote it down, but I feel like that game would be a kind of a high scoring shootout, back and forth. And at that point, I'm giving it to Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
they got better wide receivers. They got a better quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, maybe they beat the Cowboys.
But we also got to remember the Broncos defense is actually really fucking good too. Like Patrick Surtain, they drafted the kid from Texas, the corner, Barron. He's solid. I think they brought in the safety from the Niners, if I'm not mistaken. So that defense is going to be very solid again this year.
Yeah, but it's just tough at being in a division with the Chiefs. That's 2 losses off the bat on your schedule until Chiefs prove me otherwise.
Yeah. Do you want to go dog tag or dog house first for the Denver Broncos?
Pull it up. Let me see. Wait, where is? I can go dog tag first.
All right, go ahead. What do you got?
All right, my dog tag is going to be, and I don't think it's ever going to change until he retires, is Courtland Sutton. Here's a guy who's always been steady for the Broncos offense, serving as Bo Nix's safety blanket. He finished as wide receiver 24 last season. I forgot to look up their ADPs, but I think he was 26 wide receiver overall. I think he's comfortably the wide receiver 1 in Denver. And value wise, he's always been, a guy who's going to get you maybe 14 to 16 points. They did add a few weapons, obviously, with Evan Ingram. I think it's going to go back and forth between, who's going to have the most targets each week due to the addition of Ingram and Patrick Bryant, who I think is going to be real good. Your guy, Marvin Mims, I don't know. But I feel like, to me, he's a solid wide receiver 2 option. So, yeah, that's my guy, Courtland Sutton. And a guy I pick up every year late in redraft every year.
I'm looking at his fantasy production last year. I have him as wide receiver 15 overall in PPR.
Okay, then maybe I just Googled it.
Okay, yeah, I have him a wide receiver. I was going to say you undersold him a little bit.
Yeah, I just Googled it. I didn't go into wherever he was in PPR. I guess I should have, but that's what the AI gave me, so I put that down.
Never trust the AI unless
I've seen something on Fantasy Pros too.
Yeah, I have him at wide receiver 15 overall last season, and then wide receiver 13 at half point PPR. But I do like this potential of getting him in your dynasty rosters for a win now team. Kind of like an early second kind of value at this point. A guy who, hasn't been the most productive throughout his career, kind of like what we wanted him to be, right? He's just kind of been your flex option at best most years. But, last year especially, he really broke out. I think Sean Payton has figured out how to use him especially with a player that like Bo Nix, who's extremely accurate.
I think that's the help is, Bo Nix over, Russell Wilson, kind of getting a better quarterback in there and a better coach.
Yeah, for sure. Who would you rather have? Would it be? I'm trying to think of somebody around Cortland Sutton. Maybe like Michael Pittman.
That's tough. I think I'm going to go Cortland Sutton, and I'll probably go Sutton with most of them just because, like I said, he's just always been so steady. For me, in redraft wise, because like I said, I play a lot of redraft each year, and he's always just been a guy. Him and McLaurin are guys I always go after late because they always give me the solid production. So Pittman's a guy you kind of thought was going to take off, and he's kind of almost I always kind of liken back to like Kyle Pitts, but like he's always a guy you expect to take off, and he doesn't really.
Now, how about this one? He's below this player a little bit on Keep Trade Cut, but Khalil Shakir.
Oh God, we know who you're going with.
I think Portland does have the higher upside, though.
Yeah, I like Shakir, but I think he's limited. I like Sutton better.
You like Sutton? Yeah, I can see the argument there. Then he's around another player like Devontae Adams, and I think that's pretty easily Devontae Adams for at least one more year.
Yeah.
Do you think? Are you afraid of Pat Bryant at all? Because that's what the consensus is, that they drafted Pat Bryant to be like that Cortland Sutton replacement.
I think like eventually, because Sutton's getting long in the tooth, but I think Bryant can kind of play opposite him on the outside. Where I know I looked at the depth chart today and it had Sutton at 1, and then on the other side it was Marvin Mims and then Patrick Bryant. I think Bryant's going to take Mims' spot. I think he's had ample opportunity to kind of secure himself, and he hasn't. So that's
he looked good down the stretch last year when they kind of unlocked him a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe
we've
they'll
seen
give
this
him one
with
more
Sean
year.
Payton, though. Yeah, we've seen this with Sean Payton, though. It takes a little bit of time to figure out that offense. But I do like the call out of Cortland Sutton because I think he's a decent value for contending teams, like a second-round pick could probably get it done at this point. Maybe a second and a throw-in to like a rebuilder. Like a player in a third-round value probably gets it done. Just to try to, add to your flex position, your wide receiver 3. I think Cortland Sutton would be perfect for that role. But let's get negative. Who do you have for your dog house? Who are you out on for the Denver Broncos?
So here's a guy I was once in on before this draft and this offseason, a guy that I traded you, and that's Audric Estime. I just think here's a guy, he's the odd man out. I loved him coming out of Notre Dame, but with the addition of Harvey and J.K. Dobbins, I feel like he's kind of buried in the depth chart. Right now, he's the third in the depth chart, where I once thought he was going to be, the Thunder to the Lightning, but I don't see it happening anymore for him. Unfortunately, I think he's just kind of the guy who's on his way out. He's a guy that, he looked good coming out of Notre Dame, and it was kind of, I feel like it was his job to lose, and then kind of he lost it, and he lost it quick.
Yeah. I remember
I wanted the Eagles to get him so bad, dude. I wanted the Eagles to draft him so goddamn bad, and then obviously they didn't, and this is where he is.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember talking about that we both kind of liked Audric Estime, especially to the Eagles. Would have been the perfect. Like, he would be a upgrade over A.J. Dillon, in my opinion, just as that.
You think so?
Big. Yeah, dude, I think A.J. Dillon is trash.
I don't know, man. Coming here, though. Coming here, like, players just metamorphosize. We've seen
I will be shocked if he's the running back 2 on that team, A.J. Dillon, to be honest with you. I would be shocked. If he makes it through camp, I would be shocked also. Yeah. I would take Audric Estime every day over A.J. Dillon. But it's kind of is a shame because he is the guy that you could get, 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust, get you your, first downs on short yardage or goal line short yardage kind of guy. Kind of like a lower end version of like a David Montgomery. I think that pass catching is kind of, suspect, obviously, for him. So he's going to be limited in his fantasy ability. But, I actually agree with this as well as what Dustin said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen too. And then Dobbins came in, and I'm like, well, there goes him. And like you said,
second round capital.
Yeah, but like you said, especially with limiting yourself, it's never good to have a full room and you be limited on what you can bring to the table. And you had mentioned his pass catching ability, which isn't fantastic, but that would be something I hope he worked on. Obviously, seeing this room, but I don't see it for him.
He would have been a
Unfortunately,
great player for like those leagues where I am in a few of them where you get yards per first down. So like those 3rd and inches, you just give it to Audric
yeah.
Esme up the middle and you get a
Hmm.
point, or not a point, but like however many points it is for a first down. He would have been great for that role. So it is kind of
Yeah.
a shame. I was expecting a little bit from him. He would have been a great Thunder to the Lightning of RJ Harvey.
Right.
But I mean, if anything happens to J.K. Dobbins, and if we see, we've
Which
seen
is
in
highly
history,
likely.
yeah, unfortunately for J.K. Dobbins, because he's a very good football player. It's just he's never been healthy in his entire career. So just having, Estime as like if you're in deep leagues, it's not really a bad option, but it is disappointing for what we were kind of hoping for him this offseason. Let's get into my first one. Let's see what I want to start with. I'll start with the dog tag, and I'm going to do it for the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders here for a second. Currently, right now, they are plus money to win over 7.5 games, and they only won 4 games last year. So that's a almost a 4-win jump there. So they obviously brought in Chip Kelly. They brought in Pete Carroll as the new head coach, which I think Pete Carroll is a fantastic hire, especially with the way that the Raiders kind of fell apart. After I thought Pierce was going to be a good hire. He seemed like a good.
So did I, dude. I liked him a lot. I liked him an awful lot.
It seemed to kind of fall apart for him, and it kind of fell apart fast. So that was unfortunate. But I think Pete Carroll
didn't seem like he had much. He didn't have much of a leash there.
Oh, for sure. I think Pete Carroll brings a different type of positivity to an organization, if that makes sense. Because the dude always just seems like dude's like 80 years old and is running routes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, how long's he got there, dude? He's like 80 years old. I don't know exactly how much time he's got there. Before not saying he's going to kick the bucket. I'm saying like, Jesus. Dude, don't you want to retire? Don't you want to retire at some point?
He didn't like what was it from Seattle? They just kind of separated. I thought he was going to retire.
I think they retired him. They were like, all right, dude, we're gonna we don't want to fire you because we respect you, but like it's time. Got to go.
So yeah, plus 135 over 7.5 games. They are minus 160 to be under. So that tells me that they believe that they're going to be slightly better than they were last year, but I don't see a 4 wins swing happening from your way.
I don't know. I don't want to like take away from your tag, but I don't know who your tag is, but it's a big upgrade to my doppelganger, Geno Smith. I think that's a huge upgrade.
I forgot about Aiden O'Connell.
But like
your doppelganger, yeah.
Like that's a big upgrade. I think
it is.
I'm not saying. I mean,
Geno
Smith's no,
Well, since you kind of buried the lead there, my dog tag is Geno Smith.
Oops.
Yeah. So thank you for burying.
Well, dude, you were reading a Harry Potter novel. I thought you were you forgot.
Anyway,
you're giving me plus and minus like you're a fucking bookie over here.
Anyway, Geno Smith signed up until 2028 with the Las Vegas Raiders. He signed an extension to play there. With his last year, he was QB 13, QB 17 points per game at 16.5. So a very solid high-end quarterback 2 option. Then with his time with Pete Carroll going back in 2023 and 2024, he was 2023, he was QB 19, QB 25 at 15.7, still a solid QB 2 option. But 2022 was the big year. It was QB 5 overall, QB 10 at points per game at 18.5. Now, I don't think he gets back to that high-end quarterback 1 finish. I don't see that in the cards. I don't think they have that kind of talent right now, right? I think maybe next year when they add maybe another wide receiver could be possible.
Sure yeah.
I think he could be another high-end quarterback 2, quarterback 14, maybe even finishes as QB 12, just sneaks in, the back end there. I could see that for sure. Going into next gen stats real quick with Geno Smith. Raider quarterback Geno Smith threw 40 touchdown passes, traveling over 10 yards in the air in his 2 seasons under Pete Carroll. That is second, just behind Josh Allen. So when you're in that kind of company, 40 touchdowns, airing it out over 10 yards, that's pretty good company to be in. 40 touchdown passes in that time frame. So I kind of like Geno this year. Obviously, they have Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. They have a slight offensive line upgrade than the Seattle Seahawks did last year. I wouldn't call it like a huge upgrade, but it's just decent. They have Colton Miller and Jackson Powers Johnson, I think the dude's name is, the guard they took the year before. Forget what his name is exactly. So they're building something.
I gotta brush
over
up
there.
on my guard videos. I gotta brush up on it too.
But yeah, I mean, I like what they're doing in Vegas. I like the addition of Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly. And I think, like, as much as we don't like Chip Kelly here in Philadelphia.
Time out. Yeah. Can we take a second to say fuck Chip Kelly, dude? Fuck that guy.
He's a good offensive play caller.
Yeah,
though.
right.
I mean, we've seen it.
I can't stand that motherfucker, dude. Sorry.
We've seen him do it in multiple levels on offense. We've seen it in here in the NFL.
I've seen him trade LaShawn McCoy for fucking Kiko Alonso, dude. I've seen that.
Anyway, we've also seen him do it in, Oregon. We've seen him do it in Ohio State. We've seen him just be a very good offensive play caller. So I think that is a benefit to the Raiders.
You can't take away. We haven't seen him do it in UCLA where he fucking sucked, and when he went to San Francisco where he really sucked.
Yeah, but that was when he was a head coach. When he's been an offensive coordinator,
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I think he's a better coordinator than he is a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair. I'm interested in this offense. I think they are a rising tide. Some of the trades I've seen for Geno Smith, back to him real quick. Bashaw Tootin and a third in Superflex for Geno Smith, and I'm absolutely doing that.
Absolutely. I couldn't hit yes fast enough.
And then you have Aaron Rodgers and a third for Geno Smith.
Yeah. You know what? It's like every other league I see, like besides ours, because our league is just like everyone thinks they have Joe Montana and Jerry Rice on their team. Like, we would never see that trade ever. The Bashaw Tootin and a third for Geno ever. But like you have to value a second quarterback. Like I've seen, like our buddy went to the championship with Austin Stick as his quarterback and won the championship with a guy named Austin frickin' Stick. If you can get a solid, that is such a solid quarterback too. He's almost it could be. He's a fringe quarterback too. He's like probably the best quarterback too, maybe
available.
I think so absolutely.
Too. I think he can,
like that's such a steal.
The thing is like quarterback 14 feels about quarterback 14-15 overall feels about right, and that's still, like you said, a high end quarterback too.
Right.
Finish. So I definitely think that's in the realm of possibilities. I do have to go negative here, and this sucks because this is a rookie I actually kind of like, but I've seen his value kind of rise slightly. And it was actually between two of the rookie wide receivers that the Raiders drafted this offseason, and I decided to go with Jack Besh.
Is this your house?
No, this is the dog tag. Yeah, this is the house.
Okay.
My dog house is going to be Jack Besh. I see. The thing is I've seen him on Keep Trade Cut as wide receiver 48, just above his teammate Jacoby Myers. And we've seen Jacoby Myers be a wide receiver 2, a flex option. Like I can't put him ahead of Jacoby Myers just yet. Like I can't do that. Obviously there's an age gap. I think Jacoby's 28. Besh is just coming into the NFL as a rookie. I think he's only 21 or 22 years old. So obviously the age gap is there. But for a contender, I'd rather try to get like a Jacoby Myers because that value is going to be around the same on my roster than I would wanting to stash Jack Besh because I don't see the upside. I don't think Jacoby Myers has the highest upside, but I think Jacoby has the safer floor because we've seen it already, right?
Yeah. I caught him.
I think
that was fun.
Oh God. Some things about Jack Besh. I think he had really good body control. He's a go up and get it type wide receiver. Not the most explosive dude. Doesn't have a whole lot of speed to his game. A little slower. One real year of production. Most of his production came this year at TCU. So that's, kind of a lot of people like the early in production for wide receivers, and it's not really there for Besh. Obviously at LSU, we had a bunch of players ahead of him. So kind of take it with a grain of salt, but I just don't see, I don't see why we're placing him ahead of guys like Jacoby Myers just yet.
Yeah,
You know,
I think just because the room is just so open there.
Oh, well,
there's
yeah,
not
for
really
sure.
there's no like it could be anyone's room to take.
Well, it's Brock Bowers' room.
But
as a
yeah,
pass
but I try to separate the tight end from the wide receivers in terms of getting wide receiver catches and targets. I feel like it could be it's open. Jacoby Myers is no Devontae Adams. You know what I mean? It's not too hard to overcome, but I would have to see first.
Yeah, I believe that, like I said, it's Brock Bowers, then it's Ashton Genty. I'm not buying into what Pete Carroll said that he's going to use a running back by committee approach. Like, that's not been Pete Carroll like ever.
Really?
So yeah,
who do they got that back there? Is it Alexander
it's
Madison?
Raheem Mostert and
Mostert? I always confuse them too.
your
Eagle
guy
legend.
from last year, Zamir White.
Oh man, dude, I was higher than a crackhead on him, dude. I was like, nobody take him. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? This guy even playing?
Yeah, I think it's Ashton Genty, and like I said, I like Jack Besh. I just don't see I'd rather have like a Kyle. If you're going to talk about rookie drafts, I'd rather have a Kyle Williams. I'd rather have a lot of the tight ends, especially tight end premium leagues like Elijah Arroyo, Mason Taylor. He's kind of all going in that same range. I'd rather take a stab at like Jalen Milroe over Jack Besh in Superflex rookie drafts. I don't really see it. I think he could be just very solid. But again, I'm not taking him over like a Jacoby Myers, who I already know is a solid wide receiver, right?
That's fair.
So I think, and the other guy, the honorable mention is Thornton, the wide receiver, Deontay Thornton from the Raiders as a doghouse as well. 6'5", ran a 4.3 speed. He's a guy that, was going undrafted in most of our rookie drafts. He's got a little bit of buzz lately because he's been running with the ones in OTAs while Besh has been with the second team. I'm not really buying into that hype either. I didn't see a whole lot. He was a guy, I think his last season had 26 receptions for like 600 some odd yards, which the yardage is nice, but 26 receptions means you're just a deep ball merchant, right? So I'm not 100% sold on him either. Neither one of these two really, they don't really do it for me for wide receivers.
Tickle your fancy?
No, I just think they're slightly overrated right now. Like I see the hype of Thornton being, 4'3", 6'5", running with the ones right now, and the Besh is running with the twos. So people are getting a little spiced up about that. Don't take rookie OTAs too seriously. Yes, it's fun to tweet out.
Dude, you love rookie OTAs.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's fun, but and it's fun to talk about, but at the end of the day, you need to kind of wait until the veterans start to, really come in. Like, obviously there are some vets that are showing up at OTAs, but everybody's not there. Everybody's not going in 100% because it is still June at this point. So I would just be very cautious with these two rookie wide receivers, not two guys I was super high on. I would rather take the stabs at Jacoby Myers. And then I saw Thornton going ahead of Calvin Austin, which I think I'm rather.
Not really, yeah.
It's not really much.
Many there, but yeah, I mean, at that point you're throwing a dart, but yeah, I think he's like the wide receiver too at this point. Calvin Austin, right?
Chris, you're just trying to troll me at this point. I think you're just trying to grind my gears here a little bit. Rich, you have the Chargers next. You want to start with your house? Actually, talk about the Chargers here.
Let's talk. The Chargers, I got them going 9-8. Again, these are. I feel like I got the guys that are at the bottom of the division. Any division you play with.
I don't think the Chargers are the bottom of the division.
Well, when you have 4 teams, I think they're 3. Like it could be 2. It could be a flip flop between the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to be good, but it could be a flip flop between the Raiders and the Chargers.
Your Raiders. The Raiders are in the number 2 team for you.
I think so. Yeah, dude. I think that.
No, that's crazy talk.
Okay.
Right? You think they take a jump from 4 games to? You think they take a jump to 4 games of playoffs?
Did you look at their schedule?
I just. Or you just look over unders.
Yeah, right. So did you write out the schedule? I mean, look at the schedule and look at the games they're playing. I mean, They're going to lose 2 to the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs go fucking undefeated. But no, I don't think they go undefeated. But like, I don't know. But I got them. Listen to my breakdown here, dude. They start off with the Chiefs. That's a no. Yeah, they got the Raiders. I got them winning that at the Raiders. They got beating the Broncos, beating the Giants, losing to Washington, losing to the Dolphins, win against the Colts, win against the Vikings, win against the Titans, loss against the Steelers because I don't like Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know what he's going to do. Beat the Jaguars, loss against the Raiders, loss against the Eagles, loss against the Chiefs, win against the Cowboys, win against the Texans, loss against the Broncos. Is there anything over? Yes, Raiders over the Broncos, dude. You heard it here first.
That I can't. Yeah, I don't. I see them being in the bottom.
What is their schedule? You have to look at their schedule.
They still don't have like the horses to run that race, though.
Bro, they only need one. They got Ashton Genty and they got Brock Bowers. They got 2. And I don't think you're respecting the major upgrade it is from Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew to Geno Smith.
Yeah, but
I know, like I said, it's a monumental.
I just gave the Raiders their flowers, but you're planting a whole garden for them. I gave them like 2 little tulips. You're planting a whole goddamn.
Dude, we're gonna see the season's gonna play out, and then what's gonna happen?
See,
like, man, this is right.
He's this right here.
They say Raiders are sneaky. That's why.
Yeah, but not sneaky. Sneaky is not how.
I gotta see their.
Sneaky's like if they win 6 games, right? Sneaky, maybe
that's
7.
That's not sneaky. Sneaky's when you have those dog shit quarterbacks, that would be sneaky. I don't think you're giving your guy a big enough tag, dude. Geno Smith is a fucking upgrade. Raiders.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Watch, dude. Watch.
I can't believe you're this low on the I can't believe you're this low on the Chargers and the Broncos. You have them barely going over 500 and under 500.
What would you? Okay, then I'm giving my explanations. You tell me what you would change. The only thing you would change in the Broncos would be the Bengals game, and you were like barely. It could be go back and forth. You said you'd be 9-8. So what would you change on the Chargers? Chiefs, W or L?
Is that week 1?
Yeah, I'll read you the schedule. You say W or L. Okay. Chiefs.
Week 1, I'll give that a L.
Raiders.
W.
Broncos.
I mean, actually, that would depend on if they're at home or away. But
I'll just give me yes or no.
I'll go W right now.
Giants.
W.
Washington.
W.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins.
W.
Super Bowl. Here we come. Colts.
Probably a W.
Vikings.
Loss.
Titans. You got to think this hard on the fucking Titans.
Win. It could be that.
Sorry, Chev. I
got to see the rest of that stretch, like the rest of the stretch.
Steelers.
Loss.
Jags.
Loss.
Do you think the Jags beat them? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Raiders.
They'll lose that one.
Eagles.
Loss.
Chiefs.
Win.
They beat the Chiefs?
Yeah, they beat the Chiefs. Did I give them week 1 win?
No, you gave them an L.
Okay, so they win. They beat the Chiefs the second time.
You think they can split with the Chiefs? Okay.
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Win.
Texans.
Loss.
Broncos.
Loss. They split.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, fucking 9, Mike.
All right, fine.
9 and 8. You just had them going, dude. Fucking sitting here going to cut my head off for the schedule.
Oh no,
I have the Broncos 8 and 9. 9 and 8. Exactly, dude. You're not giving them enough fucking credit.
Chef says you'll see. I'm not sure if he's referencing your Raiders over Broncos or the second career renaissance for Geno. I'm not sure what he references, but talk about the Chargers. Give him to your doghouse first.
All right, you want the house? Where's my notes? Breaking down the house. All right. So in the house, and they're only in there for a brief stay. It's going to be a year and year only. That's going to be the whole entire Chargers running back room, dude. I think, to me, I'm all in on Hampton. Like I've said before, I don't think Hampton is that far behind Genty. I don't think it's like
So why are you
he's
putting him in
miles
the
ahead of him.
doghouse?
Because if you listen, you're messing up. I'm trying to read. They have Harris, dude. I think Harris is going to be a fucking vulture. It's going to start off with who's going to have the ball. Is it going to be Hampton? Is it going to be Harris? Who do I start this week? Do I start Harris? Do I start Hampton? Who's going to score the touchdowns? Who's going to score? Who's going to get the yardage? And you're going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I don't think it's going to be out of the doghouse until Harris is gone after his 1-year deal and Hampton solidifies his RB1 in Los Angeles. And that's my hesitation. I loved Hampton coming out. But the thing is, you have a vulture like Harris there. You're going to go back and forth wanting to fucking pull your eyeballs out because you don't know who to start. And that's my big issue.
Okay. No, I could see that. I could see that especially being an issue to start the season. Because that's usually when it starts to happen, is that they kind of like run the rookie in the second, or like they start splitting carries 50-50 in the beginning, where it's like the, 55-45 or whatever it is. But I see Hampton taking that job by the middle of the season. But again, I can see where you're coming from, where it kind of like stunts his fantasy output, especially. Right.
Like I don't want to wait till week 9, week 8 for him to be like, yeah, I got a nice solid RB1 when you got the vulture there.
So
how many like we've seen
a redraft lens, kind of.
What's that?
You're looking at this through like a more redraft lens.
Yeah, okay. I guess so. It's just like I think he just kind of vultures a lot of Hampton's touches. But in a long haul, I think Hampton's a fucking home run.
Mm-hmm.
But at least this year,
100% agree. I 100% agree. I think.
Wait, is Hampton startable in Dynasty for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, it really would. So it would depend on what I have, right? If I'm having like, a Ashton Genty, Bijan Robinson, he's probably not unless he's my flex, right? Mm-hmm. But if I have, I'm trying to think of like lower end guys, like I'm just trying to think of names. I can't even think of them off the top of my head. If I have a lower end guy, I think I would still start Hampton and see what I get. If it doesn't look pretty right away, I think I would obviously swap him out. But again, I really like that Chargers offense. Like, I like what they're building. So, like, I also like. I'm afraid like Hampton could come in week 1 and like completely take over, and like we never see Najee Harris, right? Say for instance, it's like a 50% snap share, but like Hampton gets 12 rushes for 100 some yards and a touchdown. Like, then that's going to make me think like, he's probably going to end up getting the full workload. You know what I mean?
Do you think it resembles what we've seen in Pittsburgh with Harris, with their running back room?
See, the thing is, the difference with that is they had a guy like Jalen Warren who was like more electric, right? I think Hampton has some electricity to him, but he's not like, he's more closer to Najee, but like a higher end Najee than he is like a Jalen Warren. If that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's more of like two thunders, and just one's like thunder that's going to knock your electricity out at this point, and then thunder that might just be more annoying, like Najee Harris.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be it's gonna be a weird season. So
it's gonna be different. If I had to start Hampton, I'd probably more so be pulling my eyeballs out this season than it would be next season. It's like I think you kind of draft him for next season, not this season.
So say for instance you have a running back room right now of Chuba Hubbard, Alvin Kamara, and David Montgomery, and then Omari and Hampton. Who are the two that you're starting?
Well, dude, I got to tell you, I'm starting Kamara until he says I'm retiring from the NFL.
Yeah.
That's just always.
So that's one. So you got Hubbard, Montgomery, and Hampton.
So for me, it would be between Hubbard and Hampton, and I'd start Hubbard because he's the number one clear cut.
Yeah,
there.
I could see that argument.
I
think if you wanted to just chase the upside, I would start Hampton, but the safer floor would be Hubbard. Like,
dude, the way my anxiety's set up, I can't. I
Like the
can't.
way
do
Bang
Jason.
Bang is set up.
I'm like,
I don't have
nah,
enough medication. I don't have
Yeah,
enough
no.
medication for that one.
No.
No, so you think Hampton is the future, but
For
if
sure.
you're putting this doghouse, you're putting him out there for a year, right?
Yeah.
Or this whole running back room. Like,
Yeah, the whole running back room, because it's just going to be like in Dynasty in general. I wouldn't be starting anyone from the running back room in Los Angeles because of the back and forth.
okay.
Because you have guys like here we have Saquon and we have AJ Dillon. We know who's scoring. We know who's getting the points. There,
I
it's going
can't
to be
believe that you're
50.
mentioning AJ Dillon second. Like, that's just foul.
Well, what do you think? He's not going to be second?
I
don't
think
think
Shipley's better
Shipley's.
than him at this fucking point.
Well, I don't know.
Anyway,
I'd like that to be a thing.
who's your dog tag for the Chargers?
All right. My dog tag is going to be Orande Gadsden. I can't pronounce his name.
Jeb's still listening. He's in the cement aisle again.
What the hell does that mean?
He's all bricked up right now talking about.
Look at you, dude. Look at you pulling out words. This for me is also a guy I'm looking for in the 2026 season. A big body tight end, fantastic receiving ability. The Chargers, where they stand now, they have two tight ends in Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin, who I don't think will be on the roster next year. I know at least Dissly is eligible to get cut at some point to save $1.5 million. But the outlook on this position, I think it's going to be wheels up for him next season.
Mhm.
They drafted him in the 5th round, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's a guy you can kind of stash, kind of get that value, and wait on until the 1-year vultures are kind of gone.
Yeah,
I mean,
like this call. I've been all over Gadsden. I've been like stashing him in a lot of the end of my rookie drafts because he's fallen to that point.
mhm.
A lot of people are taking, Colston Loveland early. Well, you could get discount Colston Loveland in Arroyo and then Gadsden even later on than that, right?
And you know what? People like this tight end class this year, I think, is like, and this is where I get angry with the Eagles. This is like almost a generational tight end class with so many solid tight ends that we've talked about of leading up to the draft up until now. It's like there's so many guys. They got him in the 5th round. There's so many tight ends that you could get that you can wait on a guy like Gadsden.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I like you mentioned his receiving ability. Kind of is like that wide receiver playing tight end, basically. We talked about him. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, wide receiver play. He's like 6'5", 230 something, I believe. So, a big guy who's able to catch the ball. And, I think he's going to kind of take a redshirt year behind those two guys. I know he had a foot injury, I think, at 23. So, yeah, I think he's, wheels up in 26 for the running back room and the tight end room. It's going to be exciting.
I also wouldn't be shocked if you see him just sprinkled in year one because Will Dissly has an injury history.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Conklin has an injury history. And then, you have Lad McConkey. You added a vertical threat in Trey Harris. You could get a guy like Gadsden in the seam, open the field up for like Lad and Trey on the outside and in the slot for Lad. So it wouldn't be shocked if you see him year one. We talked about him on the FFU episode this past weekend during some training camp buzz. His tight end coach comped him to Darren Waller. And you want to talk about the best wide tight ends.
The rapper?
The rapper, yes. The best tight ends playing wide receiver for a short period of time. I wish we got more from Darren Waller.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been so good. We were looking good for a little while there, and then
don't do drugs, boys and girls.
But yeah, for him to get a comp of Darren Waller this early is very exciting. So yes, and I'm very much on this.
And I think the writing is on the wall for him. Like I said, you have guys like Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin who are, 1-year guys. I don't know what Conklin's deal is, but nothing groundbreaking. It kind of is showing you where they're going to go.
Yeah.
So if you can get this guy, I definitely would jump on it.
So how I mentioned, I was kind of excited with the high tides of the Raiders. With Geno, with Pete Carroll, with the additions of them. I'm very excited for what the Chargers offense could look like with this year and years to come with Justin Herbert, Hampton, Gadsden, Ladd, Trey. I think they have a good core, and then they have like a really good offensive line and Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt at the tackle, and they brought in former Super Bowl champion Mekhi Becton to play guard. So they could be really good. They could be a sneaky team, man. That's why, like I said, 9-8, but like it wouldn't shock me if they hit double digits.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Maybe I don't know if it's going to be an off the wall kind of crazy question, but how far is your foot out the door on Justin Herbert, and is it as far for him as it is Trevor Lawrence? Because I feel like we get Justin Herbert, who's Mr. Fantastic during the season, and then he shits the bed every single year in the playoffs.
Yeah, but the thing is like we get at least fantasy production out of Justin Herbert pretty consistently, where it's like Trevor Lawrence is like, we're waiting for that to happen, right?
Well, he's giving me 30. It's a brutal 30, dude. It's like the dude, he gives me like 28 to 30, and it's like the most stressful fucking points I've ever had to wait for.
So are you still Trevor Lawrence over Justin Herbert? Because I remember this conversation from like a year or two ago.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
Yeah, baby. It's the hair, dude.
It's the hair. Justin Herbert's got a nice hair too. So
yeah, dude. He's just, I don't know. He's just corny to me, dude. It's just like he was supposed to be the second comment. Well, I mean, everything I'm saying is
there's Trevor Lawrence. So hold the fuck on there. For a second.
It's like you could take out what name, and it's both of them. But I think eventually Trevor Lawrence, I think he's going to be better this year, dude. This year.
I think we say that every year. But is that what you had for Gadsden? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, probably going to be in the Super Bowl again this year. It's kind of hard to argue of that not happening, right? At this point, we've seen it so often. I'm not really prepared to have the fall of the Kansas City Chiefs just yet. They're plus 100 to win 11.5 games. They're minus 120, plus 100 to win over 11.5, minus 120 to be under 11.5. Honestly, I think they could hit that over. I think they could hit 12. Like I feel like
that again.
Yeah, they're plus money to go over 11.5.
That's weird. I'm gonna hammer that one.
Yeah, I think I would take the plus money on that one as a future bet. I could see them getting 12. Like for some reason that team never loses less than 12 to me. I don't have their record ahead of me, but like I never feel like they've ever lost.
They're minus money to what did you say? Minus what?
Minus 120 under 11.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking the plus on that.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
So anyway, let's get into I have the dog tag first. I'm going to go with, and this kind of like, we're talking about the best quarterback in football in Patrick Mahomes, right? And he's going in the second round of startups, right? I've seen him go through, I've been in 3 startups this offseason, and then I've been in 1 mock, 2-3, 2-4, 2-7, 2-2 for Patrick Mahomes, right? I think obviously, in the past several years, he's been like a top 2-3 startup pick, right? I think that maybe is, over, right? But he shouldn't be falling out of the first round. He should be in that 108 to 112 range, right?
Over who?
I would take him.
It's so weird.
It's hard to like quantify Patrick Mahomes, right?
Right.
It's like you're gonna have a very consistent quarterback. You never have to. First of all, he's always healthy, right? Second off, he's just very solid. Last year QB 10, QB 11 at 18.3 points per game. The year before QB 7 overall, QB 13 in points per game, 18.4. I think a lot of people are upset with the fact we're not getting those like real explosive games from Patrick Mahomes anymore, like the 50-point games like we were seeing a couple years ago. But we're seeing like 18 points per game. Like that's still borderline QB1 numbers. And like compared to like a Joe Burrow, Like, I think Joe Burrow obviously is a better fantasy quarterback because of the weapons that he has, but we never have to worry about Mahomes being hurt, right? Compared to a Justin Herbert, who he's going around that same range in a lot of different spots. We've seen, more consistent play from Patrick Mahomes, right? He's in a fantastic system with Andy Reid.
I think, and also and a lot of times in Dynasty, and especially in startups, people like hyper fixate on age. And they're like, "Oh man, I got to get the, is he in his 30s yet?"
Yeah, he's
Okay,
30.
he's 30 even. And oh, dude, I got to go get the younger guy. But like, when do you plan? That's what I never understand. Like, when do you plan on winning? Like if you take him, you're gonna, it puts you automatically in contention for the whatever this year, moving forward. And people just hyperfixate on how young guys are, but how often do young guys pan out versus looking at Patrick Mahomes, who has panned out and gives you great seasons year in and year out?
My thing is like I was having a discussion in the Discord with Jeremy, fellow FFU contributor as well. Just adjust the ranks, great content creator. We were just conversating about the startup value for Patrick Mahomes, and he said he'd rather take two of the young stud wide receivers in the first and second round than taking Mahomes in the second round. But I said to I was saying my argument was, taking like a Malik Neighbors and a Patrick Mahomes and then getting like a Marvin Harrison JSN type in the third feels like a perfect start for the first three rounds, and opposed to like, let's say Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Neighbors, Brian Thomas, and like a Brock Purdy maybe. Like I feel like I'd rather have, Neighbors, Marv, and Patrick Mahomes. Like I feel like that's a better start to me. Like I might be crazy saying that.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I'm kind of buying the dip on Patrick Mahomes. That's why he's getting my dog tag, because like his value has become a value at this point, which is crazy because like he's the best quarterback in all the NFL.
Like he's probably, I would expect him to play another 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, it has to be at least 5 at the minimum. 5. Like at that point, he might just be like, all right, I've won like 17 Super Bowl fucking rings. I could just retire now. But the biggest thing is that they've added also some explosive playmakers. They're getting Hollywood Brown healthy. They're getting Rashee Rice back. Year 2 of Xavier Worthy. Then they drafted Brashard Smith late in the draft, and they drafted my guy in Jalen Royals in the 4th round. They've added some playmakers to this offense that they were kind of missing last year after Rice got hurt. It was kind of the Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce show, and it was just kind of hard to figure out that offense at that point. And they still made it work. Like they still were in the Super Bowl. And by the way, Xavier Worthy, was almost a dog tag because he had a nice stretch at the end there, especially in the Super Bowl.
For their offense, is it kind of like, because there's been offenses like I've been like this before, the Patriots offense, the Eagles offense, guys you kind of stay away from because they spread the ball so much. You have Rice, you have Worthy, you have Royals, you have Hollywood Brown, you have Kelce. Are these guys you kind of like stay away from? Or, because 1 week it could be him, 1 week could be him, 1 week could be him. Do you stay away from the anxiety? Is what I'm trying to ask, I guess.
If there's any quarterback in this league that can feed multiple players, especially when he's on his, like, if we were to go back to like 3 years ago from now when he was putting up 50-point fantasy games, I think that Patrick Mahomes could feed fantasy families, like even with Rice, Worthy, and Kelce. I think those are the main 3. And I think Hollywood Brown is like the 4th option, which is not a bad option, obviously, for football reasons. But I think it's Rice, Worthy, and Kelce at this point. Well, Kelce would be 2 because I think that's just the bread and butter connection with him and Mahomes. But I think they brought an element in Brashard Smith that they haven't had in quite some time in a pass catching back that benefits Patrick Mahomes as well, which leads me right into my dog house, which is going to be Isaiah Pacheco. I'm out. I'm done. He's on a contract year, which usually a good sign for running backs, right? But I think we've seen Andy Reid do this year in and year out, where he drafts these running backs late. He ends up making them into something, and then they move on. It happens kind of year in and year out with him. They extended Kareem Hunt right? It gave him another year, which makes me think like they're maybe not 100% sold on Isaiah Pacheco. They drafted Bashard Smith before Pacheco got hurt last year. He was an RB2, which was solid, and he hurt it week 2. He was an RB2 at that point, which is fine. But then he came back week 13 through 17. He was wide receiver 58 of points per game to Kareem Hunt's points per game at running back 42. Obviously, he's coming off a fibula injury, so it's like you kind of give him a pass. But then in the playoffs, a combined 54 yards in the entire playoffs to Kareem Hunt's 130 yards and 2 TDs. Like, if you're not outperforming Kareem Hunt at this point in your career, like obviously still coming off an injury, but Kareem Hunt's like 40 years old at this point.
Right.
Like, I think he lacks juice, and he's always lacked juice or explosive plays for that matter. He's just been a very solid running back, but like, I think the wheels are starting to fall off a little bit. I think they're adding more explosive playmakers, trying to get back to what they were just a few years ago. And I think that's kind of spells the end for Pacheco, if that's just me personally.
Which is kind of it's so crazy because like if you run the tape back like a couple years, it's like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the guy we would be saying Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this spot, and Pacheco was this guy. Pacheco's the guy who's taking over. It's so crazy the fall off of, in general, people are just falling off of Pacheco. I don't think I'm so far down on him, but like it's just crazy the rise and fall that you see so quickly happen, especially in Kansas City. Because like you said,
give you some
Helaire. I think Helaire was a first-round pick. Helaire was 32.
Yeah, he was.
And then it was just like nosedive because they had Pacheco. And now Pacheco gets hurt, and then it's like Kareem Hunt's back from outer space. And who's having a resurgence. Talk about resurgence, dude.
Let me give you some veteran running backs he's going around similar values and ask you who you would rather have. James Conner.
Pacheco.
Really? No, I think
Trey. I think his time's ticking. I think Trey Benson's gonna.
Yeah, but like I feel like we've been saying that forever with James Conner at this point, and he just keeps producing. Like he just won't go away, right? And that's what I'm afraid of. Like if I need one more year out of James Conner, I would rather have James Conner than Pacheco, right? Yeah. Just for one more year. Tony Pollard.
I love Tony Pollard, dude. I'm taking Tony Pollard.
Yeah,
I have Tony Pollard, dude.
Listen, I think Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears might be a little sneaky this year. With
Tony Pollard doesn't get no love, and it drives me nuts, dude.
Aaron Jones. I know you hate Aaron Jones, but I think I'd rather have Aaron Jones.
Dude, I just can't take
Aaron Jones.
I can't take Aaron Jones just based off of when he takes a hat off. His hair is crazy, dude. I'm not taking Aaron Jones.
All right, I guess we're having a beauty contest now instead of trying to get
based off hairlines alone, dude. I'm not taking no Aaron Jones. Look that up. You ever see it, dude?
Yeah, Travis Etienne.
Ah, man, that dude's stick a fork in that guy. I'm taking Pacheco.
Really? I think
I don't know where Etienne's going to be.
Like, I don't know who's running that backfield.
They got 30 running backs there, dude.
They do.
They got the big screen. They got today. Big Shaw Tootin and all the these southern ass sounding names. Dude, I don't know. That running back room is stacked.
I saw a report today where the Jaguars said that it was going to be Travis Etienne to at least start the season as a running back one.
That doesn't make me feel any better, dude. What? If you have if they say quote to at least start the season, that doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is I'm pretty much willing to get rid of Pacheco for almost anything I can take. Yeah, a early third round pick, mid third round pick, even in 2026. If you want to push it to 2027, maybe you can get like a 27 second.
Is he still the running back one there?
Like I fucking don't even know at this point.
Coming off an injury, like he's the incumbent coming off an injury, but like what has pushed him off of the running back one?
I mean, Kareem Hunt looked better than him last year, even coming off of that injury. Kareem Hunt looked like he had a little bit more juice than Pacheco.
That's pretty crazy if they put Kareem Hunt back at number one. I mean,
and they gave him so they saw what they saw from both those players and were like, you know what, Kareem Hunt, here's another year for you.
Yeah.
Like they signed him in right after the Super Bowl, and mid-March. Like they said, all right, we saw enough. Here's another year for you, Kareem Hunt. Yes, it's like $1 million, but it's they saw what they saw and gave him more money. Like, to me, that says something. To me, that they want to, I think they're going to be moving on from Isaiah Pacheco. 3rd round pick, any kind of rookie that you could trade for him from this past class, I would take
anything. I will take anything. Give me anything.
Yeah, I'm done.
Are there kickers in this league? Give me a kicker.
All right. Well, that will do it for this edition of the Dynasty Dogs, the AFC West Dog Tags and Dog House segment. This is a very fun division, a very fun topic we have. We're going to be doing it next week, probably on the NFC West, because we usually stick to the theme.
Not next week. I'm in Wildwood. Remember, I told you this.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe it'll just be me. I have no idea. But anyway,
some of us go on vacation, Mike. Some of us enjoy the beach.
No, we're going on vacation.
Good. Don't bring your laptop. Don't bring your microphone.
Reporting live from the beach. Seagulls chirping in the background. But again, for this edition of the Dynasty Dogs of Fantasy Football Universe, we will see you guys next time. Have a good night.
Peace.